Há 6 meses atrás, eu decidi aprender inglês sozinho, without buying any courses and using only free internet sources. I don't have friends who speak English and I don't study for even 1 hour a day. So today, I'm going to show you everything I did in the last few months, from methods, what worked, what didn't work, and how you can also learn English by yourself. Então, vamos começar. Alright, firstly, I need to tell you that I'm not fluent. You can see that my pronunciation is not so good, and probably this video will have several grammar and pronunciation mistakes. But anyway, I want to make this video entirely in English because I've never spoken with anyone in English, and I realized that I need to practice my English in public somehow. And as I learned a lot over the last few months studying alone, I want to share my experience and methods I used. If you notice some mistakes in my English, que vai ter muitos, please correct me in the comments. Então, como eu aprendi inglês sozinho? Well, what really helped me to learn English was having a lot of input in active studying, ou seja, me expor ao máximo em inglês e estudar de maneira ativa. Desde o início, eu sempre foquei muito no listening, speaking and immersing myself in a language. Então, eu troquei o idioma do meu celular, PC, browser and all the apps I use. I always prioritize watching videos, movies and podcasts in English. I have some habits that help me stay in touch with the language every single day, such as sempre quando eu almoço e janto na frente do PC, eu tenho que assistir algo em inglês. It can be a video, podcast, movie or TV shows, but normally I always watch YouTube videos with Portuguese subtitles. It's such a simple thing, but it helps me a lot to keep constant every day. These days, it's already a normal part of my routine. If you can't have a lunch or dinner while you watch something, listen to podcasts with headphones. Even if you don't understand anything, it really helps with listening. Nos primeiros 2 meses, eu estudei frases com áudio em inglês, e depois eu comecei a estudar textos com áudio, e usei esse método por praticamente o resto dos meses. Nowadays, I study with music, and perhaps you might wonder, why did I try so many things instead of focusing on just one? This happened naturally, and now I'm going to show you how you can also study with these methods. Phrases with audio helped me a lot to increase my vocabulary and also my listening. I used the text and sentences with audio that are available for free on Jackson Rogers' website. He's an English teacher in Brazil. In the first 3 months, I wrote several sentences in a notebook to practice my writing and expand my vocabulary. Mas você não precisa escrever em um caderno, pode ser no computador ou no bloco de notas do celular. Text with audio is one of the best ways for me to learn English by yourself, e é o que eu recomendo. With it, you can practice all the skills, listening, speaking, reading and writing. Always follow the text and the lyrics with the audio, because the way words are written in English is not the same as when spoken. Você só sabe pronunciar uma palavra em inglês de maneira correta se você já tiver escutado alguém falar antes, pelo menos se você não for um native speaker. Another very important thing is repetition. Without repetition, you won't master what you are listening and speaking. If you are at the basic level of English, I recommend staying with the same text for at least a week or more until you master it. Esse é um erro que eu cometi no início. I thought it was a waste of time studying the same text for so long, and that quantity was better than quality. Repeating becomes really boring after a week, but there's not much you can do. You only get really good at something by doing it many times. Use textos que estejam no seu nível de inglês. Right now, I'm studying with English songs. I grab the lyrics from Google and follow along with the music. If you struggle to find motivation to study English, songs can be a great way because it's so much easier to stay motivated to learn English when there's a melody behind the lyrics, not just someone speaking. The tools that I use to help me are Google Translate, Reverso, Lingui, and the website I mentioned earlier. Todos os links estão na descrição, e eu não estou sendo patrocinado. In all the methods I've used, I've always studied for just 30 minutes. Of course, I consume a lot of English content throughout the day, but those 30 minutes are just active study, ou seja, bunda na cadeira e prestando atenção no que estou absorvendo. Eu sempre escuto muitas vezes o áudio e depois leio em voz alta. Mais pra frente, eu vou te mostrar o cronograma que uso para você também usar, se você quiser. You may notice that my accent is so Americanized. This is because the audio and video that I listen to always have an American accent. I have always practiced my English 100% alone, just using Google Translate. Yeah, I've never spoken to other people in English. I have no friends who speak English, and I never used any conversation website. And that can be a bad thing, because I've never put my English into real situation, and probably when I do that, I might get anxious and forget everything I've learned. And that's why I make this video. If my English is terrible, there will be a lot of people who will say that, and then I will get real feedback. Mas de qualquer forma, agora eu vou te mostrar como eu pratico o inglês sozinho. If you're using a PC and don't have a mic like me at first, download the Google Translate app on your phone, set it to translate from English to Portuguese, and start reading out loud the lyrics or text you are practicing. I pretty much always speak everything I hear on Google Translate, because if you don't speak correctly with an accent, you won't understand. And that's how I learned to speak with a lot of American accent. Existem algumas palavras que podem ser mais difíceis de pronunciar e o Google Tradutor entender, but you don't need to pronunciate it perfectly until Google Translate will understand it. There are words that are more difficult and take time to learn, but the more you study and repeat, the easier it will get. I have a folder on my PC for each day of the week, outlining what I need to do. Basically, every Monday I listen to a music for 15 minutes, and then for the next 15 minutes I read aloud. On Tuesday, I do the same thing. On Wednesday, I translate the lyrics for 20 minutes, and then I speak for another 10 minutes, completando os 30 minutos. Thursday, I follow the same routine as Monday and Tuesday. Friday, I explain to myself what the song is about in front of the camera for 10 minutes, and also I read the lyrics aloud while recording myself, so later I can listen to the audio and track my progress. On Saturday and Sunday, I practice writing for 30 minutes. Then I repeat until I master the text or song I'm studying. Actually, I don't study, I practice English. Making this whole video in English was a personal challenge for me, because I always think my English isn't good enough. So, that's it. Enjoy the journey and don't compare yourself to others. E agora, algumas dificuldades que tenho é que eu não entendo tudo que escuto. Tem vídeos que eu consigo assistir sem legenda, entender quase tudo, e outros entendo apenas algumas palavras. Eu também tenho dificuldades para montar frases por causa de que eu nunca estudei gramática. E sim, é possível aprender gramática sem estudar gramática. Eu aprendi um pouco apenas observando letras de música e textos que estudava, mas eu pretendo estudar gramática, eu acho pelo menos. Eu também já estudei inglês com filmes, mas foram poucos, por isso eu não abordei nesse vídeo. Eu ainda estou no nível básico do inglês, então me desculpe se a minha pronúncia estiver muito ruim. Se você for fluente ou estiver em um nível muito maior do que o meu no inglês, deixe um comentário com alguma dica para me ajudar a melhorar o meu inglês. Se você quiser que eu faça outro vídeo falando no futuro sobre mais coisas que aprendi nesses 6 meses, comente para eu saber. Agora na tela está aparecendo um vídeo que fiz recentemente. Se você gostou desse vídeo, tenho certeza que vai gostar desse também.